X reasons why you should not buy the VinFast VF9. These are the reasons why you should not consider this car for your next purchase. Let me tell you why.
Hey Tom, it's the one and only Floyd Money Mayweather. First I want to say congratulations on your YouTube channel. Everybody needs to follow your YouTube channel. So what everyone needs to do is subscribe to Tom Peng. Great guy, great person. Tom, keep up the great work.
Alright, first of all, disclaimer about this video. The video is about why you should not buy the VinFast VF9, but it does not mean that I hate VinFast or the VF9. In fact, I have to say I love VinFast and also the VF9. There will be a video about X reasons why you should buy the VinFast VF9. In that video, I will talk about all the reasons why you should buy this car. But in this video, we are going to talk about some of the reasons why you should not consider this car as your next purchase. And I just want to give you the full disclosure here, alright? I'm not affiliated with VinFast. VinFast does not pay me for these videos, and I'm just a customer. VinFast does not treat me any differently, and that's the way I like it. I don't want VinFast to treat me any different, and if they did, I would not like that, because I want to be able to make these videos as a authentic owner of the VinFast cars and give you authentic review of my experience with the VinFast. You know, people write a lot of shit in my comments. You know, if I say something good about VinFast, you know, that means that I must be sponsored by VinFast. If I write something bad about VinFast, they think that, you know, I must be attacking VinFast, like I'm some kind of Chinese spy here trying to destroy VinFast. Neither is true. I'm also not Malaysian Chinese. I don't know why people say that. I'm actually Taiwanese Canadian living in Vietnam. But anyways, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I am not in any way affiliated with VinFast. I am just a customer giving you my honest review of my experience. All right, so let's get to it. I don't know how many negative things I'm gonna say about VinFast VF9 today, but these are all the reasons why you should not buy this car. And I don't plan my video, so I will just go with the flow. If I think of something, I will say it. So it could be 5 reasons, it could be 10 reasons. But anyways, let's start with the very first one. The first reason why you should not buy this car is that this car is fucking huge, all right? It is a massive car. It is a big car, and especially the way it is designed, you cannot really see that corner clearly, or that corner, or that corner, or that corner, right? So when you're driving the VinFast VF9, you have to be very careful, and you can't really tell the distance in the corners. Like, how far are you away from the wall? How far are you away from hitting something? You don't know, just because the way the car is designed is kind of boxy, so it's really difficult to tell that. Also, the rear window is this big, all right? It's kind of small, and so visibility is not going to be the best if you're trying to look at what is behind you. Of course, there is a rear camera that you can look at, and that is significantly better than looking through the back window there. So if you're somebody who's new to driving a car, let's say less than 3 years of experience, you should not get this car, because when you take the VinFast VF9, maybe you go to Estella or maybe you go to Vincom and you drive this car into the parking lot, you know, the basement, you're probably gonna scratching into the walls, right? Because it's so big, and it's really difficult to judge the distance between the corner of the car and the wall. It's so difficult to tell that. And also, when you park this car into charging stations at the VinFast charging stations, sometimes it's kind of hard to get in and sometimes hard to get out, because the charging station slot is kind of small, and you have to drive this car into it, and it's kind of long and big, and you have to drive in straight. It's just, you know, a lot of stress. So if you're a new driver, this car is gonna give you a lot of stress, right? Even for me, with 30 years of driving experience, sometimes I feel stressed. When I plan to go out, I think about where am I gonna be. I think about where I'm gonna charge my car. I think about where I'm gonna park it. If I feel that I'm not going to have ample space to park the car or a good place to charge the car, I don't take this car, because I don't want to give myself extra stress when driving a car in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City, because it is already very stressful. All right, so if you're a new driver, this may not be the right car for you. All right, number 2 reason why you should not get the VinFast VF9. I have to really think about this, right? Because I actually really love this car. So let me think of something to say here is, all right, the turning radius, all right? Because in Vietnam, sometimes you have to make U-turns, all right? There's a lot of situations where you have to make U-turns in the road. And this car, when you make a U-turn, be prepared to make 3-point turn, 4-point turn, or even 5-point turn. In a normal, regular car, maybe you can make a U-turn, but with this car, you gotta turn, back up, turn, back up, turn in order to do a U-turn. All right, so that can also be very stressful because Ho Chi Minh City traffic is crazy. And when you are doing the U-turn, you have to make multiple point turns. Everybody's waiting for you, everybody's looking at you, and maybe they even honk at you like that, right? And you're gonna be very stressed. So this is why if I'm going to travel in small roads, I don't take this car, because I don't want to get into a situation where, you know, I get stuck in the middle of the road and I have to make a U-turn, right? The turning radius of this car is actually terrible. It's terrible, all right? And it's very long, and the turning radius, the wheels don't turn as much, even compared to the VF8. Let me demonstrate a little bit here. All right, so I'm gonna make a U-turn now. See what I mean? Can't do it. Now I have to, like, oh shit, this car behind me, and now I have to make a 2-point turn. All right. Normally, any car could do a U-turn on this road. Any car could do that, except the VF9, all right? Except the VF9. The VF9 cannot do that. And so that's something to consider. If you're going to buy the VF9, you gotta be somebody who's experienced, you know, driving a car, a longer, bigger car, so that this will not surprise you. Now, the number 3 reason why you should not buy the VinFast VF9, I hate to say this, but the range. All right, because according to my own test, driving in eco mode, traveling to a distant province or somewhere far away, mixed highway and in-city driving, I get about 240 to 250 kilometers of range per full charge. And this is a 123 kilowatt hour battery. It's fucking massive, right? It's a massive battery, also a massive heavy car, and gives you about 240 to 250 kilometer of range. And frankly, that is not a lot, because even with my Bentley, a W12 engine, a gas guzzler, I can get about 300 kilometers on a full tank of gas, right? So I think that's the minimum we have to beat. You have to beat, you know, 300 kilometer, you know, high-end Mercedes or Bentley, you know, which will give you very low range per tank of gas. But at least you got to beat that. But with the VinFast VF9, right now, it does not beat that. So there's still going to be some range anxiety when you drive the VinFast VF9. You're always constantly looking at the percentage left, how much battery you have remaining, and you're always calculating in your head, I still have about 60 kilometers, I still have about 50 kilometers, and then you're desperately looking for a charging station. All right, I hope in the coming future VinFast can improve this number. Of course, in Vietnam, maybe 250 kilometers driving inside the city is more than ample, it's good enough. But I know that in North America, a lot of drivers, they drive long distances, and this may not be enough. But then again, you know, in North America, you're probably driving longer distances and less congestion, so you're probably gonna get better range than what I get. All right, but still, I say the range is still a issue to be considered if you're buying the VF9. The number 4 reason why you should not buy the VinFast VF9 is, this one might surprise you too, the charging infrastructure here in Vietnam. All right, because lately when I try to charge my VinFast cars, it's getting more and more difficult at a fast charging station because there's a lot of VinFast cars in Vietnam now. Right, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of taxis driving VinFast, the VinFast VF34 and even the VF8. There's so many of them, and they're all taking up the fast charging stations, right? I have some problems trying to get cars charged up when I drive the VinFast, and I don't have a home charger. I don't like to charge at home. I don't like to charge slow. I don't like to do anything slow, right? So I didn't do that, but now it seems like setting up your home charging is a necessity. You have to do it because you cannot rely on the fast charging network, because oftentimes it's very busy with all the VinFast cars on the road today. And congratulations to VinFast for selling a lot of cars and also selling a lot of cars to taxi companies. But it's getting more and more difficult for us owners and users of the VinFast cars to get them charged. So VinFast needs to do something about improving its charging station, making their charging stations more available to their customers, or build more charging stations. And if you are planning to buy a VinFast cars, look into how you can install a charging station in your home, because I think that's going to be important. Number 5 reason why you should not buy the VinFast VF9. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit subjective. You will either agree or disagree with me, all right? There's no guarantee that you agree with me, and if you disagree with me, you know, you don't have to accuse me of, you know, being some kind of VinFast destroyer. I'm not, okay? So this is what I'm gonna say. So here it is. The suspension on VinFast VF9 and also the VinFast VF8 is too firm. All right, it's too firm. And for me, it is not a problem. But for a lot of buyers in North America, they're looking for something that's softer, that is not as firm. They want something that's more comfortable. So when you drive the car, if there's any bumps on the road, it will absorb it and you'll feel less of it. But with the VinFast VF8 and VF9, you feel a lot of it. And this is why a lot of the car journalists, a lot of car reviewers, even the famous ones like Motor Trends and Cars and Drivers, they complain about the suspension setup in the VinFast. They feel that it is too firm, it's too bumpy. Let me analyze that for you a little bit. The reason why they feel that is because when people are buying an SUV in North America, what they want is a family car. A car that you can take your children to school. A car that you can take to go to work and come back. A car that you can go grocery shopping on the weekend. They're not looking for a performance car. They're looking for something comfortable, enjoyable, that you can take the family out. And that's what they're looking for. And when they evaluate, that is the basis on which they evaluate. They want something that has a more comfortable ride. But the VinFast VF8 and 9 do not have that. They are fairly firm suspension cars. And I can understand, and I can probably guess why VinFast did that, right? Because VinFast want to build something more performance oriented, right? So VinFast decided to lean more on the performance side. So they built this firm suspension. It's great when you're turning like into a harsh corner. It's great when you make a fast U-turn at a higher speed, which I did demonstrate before. This is great because this car has low center of gravity because of the big battery and 4-wheel drive, and it's got performance. And when you make these turns, the car feels like it's stable. It doesn't swing a lot. The car does not sway like this. It's actually stable and you know, composed. Great if you are expecting that kind of performance from the car, but for the average consumer, they're not looking for that. They're looking for comfort, because they're not gonna take a VinFast and drive into a corner at a high speed, right? So I think that's what they're complaining about. For me, this car, the suspension, perfect, fine, no problem. I love it. I love driving this car like into a corner at a higher speed. I love all of that. But I have to review this car pretending that I'm the average consumer in North America buying this car, and I would say they would complain about this car having a suspension that is too firm. All right, and also I believe it depends on what kind of driving experience you have, right? So if used to driving high-end luxury cars like Mercedes and Bentley and BMW and Range Rover and all those cars, then you're gonna say, oh, the suspension in the VinFast is too hard. I have all those cars, so I can tell you that compared to those cars, this suspension is too hard. But if your background is driving Mitsubishi Expander, Toyota Fortuner, you know, the Japanese cars that are commonly found here in Vietnam, you will say the suspension in the VinFast is so awesome. It's so smooth, so creamy, and it's so good. You would say that. So again, it depends on your background. Like, what kind of cars have you driven before? And this is really a subjective subject, but I do believe in North America, people are looking for a softer suspension for SUVs. And I think this is something that VinFast can consider for their future generations of VinFast vehicles in North America, right? Personally, I think there's no problem with the suspension for me, but for the average consumer, this might be a problem. All right, so these are the 5 reasons why you may not want to buy the VinFast VF9. All right, so there you have it. Actually, VinFast VF9 is a great car. I'm going to release another video. It's going to called X reasons why you should buy the VinFast VF9, and in that video I'm going to talk about all the reasons, many more reasons why you should buy this car. All right, take some fucking action, look into the VF9, and don't be a fucktard.